Okay, hi you guys. Back again, and I am looking at making a mouth now. So when you make yours, you've got to figure out what you're going to do. You know, if you have an open mouth, you're working at a different skill level. It's going to be more problematic if you want to deal with the teeth and then make it look like it's open but not go all the way through. I don't know that I'm going to tackle that on this video, but I want to cover the basic mouth and some expressive qualities. So let's get started. Yeah, and then if you guys have questions about how to do the teeth, or maybe in future videos, I'll try to work on showing you how to deal with the teeth. I think that would make it a shorter video for you to watch today. So the first thing you need to know is that when you're making a mouth and you have your mug sitting here, you are not going to just make a couple of coils and lay lips out. If you do that, you'll have your nose sitting here and then you'll have a really flat mouth. So if you look at somebody from the side, there's the nose and then your mouth comes out and over your teeth, right? And then it dips down to your lips and then over again and down. So what you really want to do is create this whole area, not just two little coils for the lips, for a mouth. So what I usually start out doing is creating some kind of a mound. A friend of mine, former art teacher, used to refer to it as a kind of like a pitcher's mound or an oval pitcher's mound. So I'm making this little oval pitcher's mound. Pardon me, nose itches. And the part underneath the nose, I call it kind of like a ramp. It seems like there's a ski ramp or ski. You know, it probably is a little bit more gradual than right underneath your lips. So the bottom lip is a quicker fall away. So if I know I want to make something that's grumpy, I know already that I want the corners of the mouth to be set down kind of low, because happy, right, is the opposite. So I'm going to turn the corners down, and remember, this is going to be underneath my nose. Okay, so this tool is, again, one of my favorite modeling tools. So this is what I do. This does not mean it is the same for everybody. Other artists may have their ways of doing things. So you can explore when you're making your mouth, and if you find a better way, then great. But I'm just showing you what I do, okay? So I take this tool, and since it's very sharp or kind of real thin here, I utilize that to split the difference of where the lips are. So I want to draw that line down and kind of cut in a bit. And I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. In and down. There we go. Okay. Then your lips round. So if you can see that here, these lips kind of round out and round up. So even when they're closed, they're not just left like this. They're not squared off. So I take this tool and I'm just rounding it, using my fingers round, so you can see that kind of rolling will create a rolled bit of clay that can maybe be representational of lips. We're not really concerned about a really super defined line here. Your lips are not that way. You have a shadow and light that really makes a difference most of the times. There might be a little bit of color difference too, but we're not working with that right now. We're just working with shadow and light. So then I do the same thing with the bottom lip. I'm going to turn it down, but I'm rolling that. Okay, now if I end up in the process pulling these too far apart, I can always squish them together more, right? And then I can turn it back down again. Okay, then in the middle of this, I'm gonna go ahead and put this little ski ramp here that I was telling you about, that part that goes underneath the nose. I'm sure if you've had anatomy, there's probably a proper term for that. You guys, one of you guys might know it. Science teachers. Anyway, there's this part that hangs down just a bit here. So I'm gonna take my needle, or this modeling tool, and I'm gonna push up just a little bit just before that area. And it'll create a bit of a gap there, which the shadow really, really makes a difference on giving that look. Okay, so I'm gonna just turn it and do the same thing on the other side. Roll it. These don't have to be perfectly symmetric. You know, depending on what you're gonna do with the expressive qualities of this piece, like I said, may be different how you create this, but once again, I'm just making a basic mouth here that's a little grumpy. Pat that a little, round it. Okay, and I leave that middle okay. Nearly finished. This needs just a little bit of rounding, you know, otherwise it's a little too harsh. And my little ramp is off, I noticed, so I'm going to redefine that. Dry clay in it. Okay, so here we are. I can do some other things, you know, to push it, push this side down more, make it more expressive qualities. Sometimes I'll take a little area and make a gap here so that I can insert a snaggle tooth. So maybe I have a little bit of a raised area there. You can see it moving the flesh up because that snaggle tooth has grown out of control out of the mouth. So then I can make my little pointy coil and score slip and weld something in there. But usually I do that once I have it attached to the piece. And honestly, for me, I often will make that little pitcher's mound, score slip and weld it onto my piece, and then I do all of what I just showed you on the cup. But that's how I work. For you guys on your exploration, I'd just like you to practice some of these, just like I'm doing here, without it being on the form itself. So here's my part of a face here. Now that I see it down this way, I'm kind of like, oh, I need to do a little bit more. Anyway, I would do something like that. So this would be right up against the bottom of it, and these would end up welding this together. Remember, I told you on the last video that you wouldn't even see that. And the whole thing is rounded more this way because it's on your cup. Right? So it seems like my eyes are a little bit out of proportion, but I did these separately and not on the mug. So I would probably, in proportion wise, I would make this eyeball much bigger, quite a bit bigger, for the expressive qualities of it. I think otherwise they're not as, I don't know, they're too beady for me, but that's my opinion. All right, you guys, try to make some of these things. Do an eyebrow and an eye. Photograph it. You can do more than one. Make a nose. Photograph it from above and the side. And the mouth. Do some kind of a mouth. Photograph it. No two coils together. That's not a mouth. Make the pitcher's mound and then pull it apart. Or if you want to And after you do that, you can try your own techniques if you'd rather do some other things. But pay attention to what real mouths look like. Look at your neighbor, you know, from different views, so that you can see what I'm talking about. Don't just believe me. Look, observe at the sides of a face. What does it look like? How much room is there approximately? And then you can modify it to your own if you want to enhance the nose and make it, you know, like this, like larger than it needs to be. Because that's part of your expression. Okay, thanks.